So President Obama has repeatedly said that there will be no boots on the ground in Iraq, but brand new polls show that Americans disagree. 72% say that they do think that ground troops will end up being used. Only 20% say no. Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters is Fox News strategic analyst, and he joins me now. Colonel Peters, welcome. Good to have you here this morning.
Martha.
Hello there. So I also want to play for you a soundbite about what should be done and how by Bill O'Reilly over the weekend. Here's what Bill said.
If George Patton were alive today, he would be saying to President Obama, give me the third, I'll go into Syria and I'll wipe them all out. It's a worldwide war against jihad. Not going to stop. So let's win the war. And that's what George Patton would say. Let's win the damn war.
Is he right?
Well, first of all, if George Patton were alive today, he'd never make four-star general because he wanted to actually fight. But I think Bill is right to the degree that, look, if you go to war, you go to war to win. And there should be no question about that. Not the dithering think tank nonsense. The only place I diverge from Bill, and by the way, his book is a good read, I strongly recommend it, is that, you know, military leaders are kind of like doctors. They're specialized. They have different talents. And if we went to war with Putin's Russia, if Putin forced us into that, I'd want a Patton. But fighting ISIS and other Islamist terrorists, you want somebody more nuanced. I'd like somebody like the men who finally studied the Indians and won the Indian Wars, Nelson Miles, George Crook, Ranald Mackenzie. So, right about we have to fight to win, but I think Patton might be he's a guy I want in a tank, not in special ops.
Yeah, understood. And it seems that what we're talking about here is leadership and focus, and knowing what your goal is. And we have heard a lot of sort of meandering language from the administration about what that goal is. And I think that does make it difficult for the military and for the American people to get behind it. We've heard about mitigating, we've heard about containing, we've heard about all of these terms, and we do need to know exactly what the goal is, do we not?
Yeah, anytime you use a four-syllable word to describe a military operation, you're on the road to defeat. Try a three-letter word, win. And so we're back to Bill O'Reilly's thesis, which is absolutely right. But Martha, I think what you're seeing with that poll you cited is the common sense of the American people. They recognize viscerally that, you know, this is going to be a long, tough fight, and sooner or later, there are going to be some boots on the ground. Now, you know, I'm for special operators on the ground, not Army divisions at this point. But the administration, you nailed it when you talked about the importance for focus. What are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to truly defeat and destroy ISIS and related Islamist extremists? All for it, even if it takes boots in the ground. Are we trying to prop up this scheming Mike Foxtrot government in Baghdad? Well, no, that's not worth the blood of one American soldier, because it can't be propped up forever. It's a losing proposition. So I think you've got a lack of strategic clarity in the White House, an unwillingness to stare intelligence in the face, and finally, utter fecklessness and a lack of courage. I mean, Military Times, as you know, did a survey that found that only 15% of our men and women in uniform have any faith in the president's policies, his military policies. Now, that is stunning, because I'll tell you, Martha, troops inherently respect the office of the president. It's magic. I mean, it really, really is. And we get down to 15% have some degree of trust in the president. That's horrible.
It is really stunning, because usually, no matter what, the military will say, look, we're here to carry out the orders of the commander-in-chief, and that's what we'll do. It's not up to us to decide policy or to, we do what we're told to do. And that is what you hear time and time again from the United States military. So the outcome of that poll is really stunning. I want to get one last quick thought from you on this agreement that has emerged for a status of forces deal with Afghanistan. The kind of deal that we did not get with Iraq. What do you make of that news?
Well, it was coming. Karzai just didn't want to sign it. But it's very important. It doesn't mean that Afghanistan is going to, in the long term, prove to be a viable proposition. But that small residual force allows us to continue counter-terror operations, to give the Afghan National Army some backbone, because the important thing often isn't Americans pulling triggers. It's Americans beside the locals pulling triggers to give the locals confidence. I mean, the American presence has a tremendous psychological effect on our people we want to be our allies.
Colonel Peters, thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you, Martha.